Ah, summer. Doesn't it just have a great sound to it? Refreshing, full of life, abundant. Hi, my name is Tony Pickler. I'm the director of the Norbertine Center for Spirituality at St. Norbert Abbey. I love summer. And when I think of summer, I think of warm weather, abundant fruit and vegetables. Okay, not so much the vegetables for me. A more relaxed pace of life, especially at work here at the Abbey. Life at full throttle and in full bloom, productive with boundless creativity, full of energy and life, low maintenance and laid back. But I also think of walks around the neighborhood, rounds of golf, kayaking, tennis in the Abbey Tennis League, streetlights outreach block parties, and time at the family cottage. According to Parker Palmer, the author of the book, Let Your Life Speak, summer is the season when all the promissory notes of autumn and winter and spring come due, and each year the debts are repaid with compound interest. In summer, it is hard to remember that we'd ever doubted the natural process, had ever ceded death the last word, had ever lost faith in the powers of new life. Summer is a reminder that our faith is not nearly as strong as the things we profess to have faith in. A reminder that for this single season at least, we might cease our anxious tactics and give ourselves to the abiding and abundant grace of our common life. Jesus used the image of growth, particularly in nature, many times to explore with his followers what the reign of God was all about and what their role was to be in it. In the Gospel according to St. Luke, chapter 21, Jesus refers to a fig tree as an example of summer in nature. Jesus states, "Consider the fig tree and all the other trees. When their buds burst open, you see for yourselves and know that summer is now near. In the same way, when you see these things happening, know that the kingdom of God is near." End quote. The fig tree, something not very familiar to people in northeast Wisconsin, but a tree in Israel that the followers of Jesus could very much identify with, becomes a lesson about summer over 2,000 years ago and still today. Sometimes as I reflect on my own life, I feel like that fig tree that Jesus referred to. I feel that I'm in full bloom, producing as much as time and energy will allow, serving as husband, father of two, a new grandfather to our precious little Jack, director of the Norbertine Center for Spirituality, co-founder of a nonprofit called Whatsoever You Do, Inc., and author of a couple handfuls of books, has made it for a busy middle years. Life is good, life is in full bloom, and life is abundant. I love some of the phrases that Parker Palmer uses to describe this abundance of the summer of our lives. He says that we are in a steady state of plenty, and we are experiencing a green and amber muchness that feeds us on more levels than we know. We know when we experience this state of our lives, and we relish in its ability to endlessly feed us. But when it comes to humanity in general, doesn't it seem that we focus more on scarcity than we do on abundance? Olivia Saunders used the following illustration with a group to display and make real this concept of scarcity and abundance. Holding up a tomato, she asked, "How many seeds are in this tomato?" Each group had many different ways of calculating an answer. One group tried to do it by visually recreating what they thought was inside of a tomato and what they thought it looked like, quartering it, and then estimating the seeds in each section. The answers differed by a few seeds to 1,000 or more seeds. After waiting just long enough, Olivia said, "There are enough. Enough for me to save the plant next year, enough for me to give to my neighbors so they too can have tomatoes. And then next year, they will save seeds and give seeds to others, just as I will, again, share my seeds." In that short 20 minutes, she taught the group the theory of abundance. When we are in a mind frame of scarcity, we come to feel that we will never have enough. That TV commercial reminds us that we just might need that hotter sports car Or if we only use that teeth cleaning product, we'll have whiter, pearlier teeth. And if we have a good enough income and save enough money in our IRA, we'll be able to retire to a golf resort in Arizona at an early age. Accumulate, 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 because you never know when you'll not have enough. Life could bring about scarcity. We see the scarcity and issues in our relationships. We get jealous when our significant other spends too much time with others, as there's only so much of that person to go around. We want all of them. And there's only so much power to go around in a scarcity-based society. If you're in power, that means I'm not. And I'd rather be in power than to experience yours. So I grab all the gusto I can while it's available and scoop up as much power as possible. This COVID-19 pandemic gave us many poignant examples of a scarcity mentality. Think back just a few short months ago to when people were hoarding as much toilet paper as we could, never knowing when it would run out and we would be left without. There's only so much toilet paper in the world, you know. Let's face it, it's difficult to trust that the pool of possibilities is bottomless. Won't that pool, whatever the pool is, someday dry up if we do not continue to fill it up with more? A consumer society shows us by word and deed that the more you can acquire, the better your life will be. But that's not the life that Jesus envisioned 2,000 years ago, what he termed the reign of God. His vision included a loving community, one in which we can give goods to others who need them and receive from others when we are in need. There always would be enough. For Jesus and his followers, abundance is a communal act, the joint creation of an incredibly complex ecology in which each part functions on behalf of the whole and in return is sustained by the whole. Community doesn't just create abundance, community is abundance. If we learn that equation from the world of nature, even from a tomato, the human world might be transformed. And we can also learn it from our first century ancestors in faith. For as the Acts of the Apostles show us, those early followers of Jesus and the way lived like this. And I quote from the Acts. They devoted themselves to the teaching of the apostles and to the communal life, to the breaking of the bread and to the prayers. Awe came upon everyone, and many wonders and signs were done through the apostles. All who believed were together and had all things in common. They would sell their property and possessions and divide them among all according to each one's needs. Every day they devoted themselves to meeting together in the temple area and to breaking bread in their homes. They ate their meals with exultation and sincerity of heart, praising God and enjoying favor with all the people. And every day the Lord added to their number those who were being saved. Isn't that vision of life incredible? A life of abundance where all of Jesus' followers had what they needed and they looked out for one another. And did you catch that last line? Because of this way of life, instead of focusing on scarcity instead of abundance, the community was abundantly blessed as their numbers grew. Summer's a great time of life to slow down, count our blessings, focus on our abundance, pay attention to those who need more, and bless others out of our abundance. And let's face it, this summer, with its slower pace than normal due to the COVID-19 pandemic, it's a great time to change our ways, to experience a transformation from the mentality of scarcity to one of abundance. And then we will know that we have had a really good summer. Blessings on the remainder of your summer and the summers to come. Here comes the sun.